What became so popular at your school that the teachers had to ban it? There was a game called Get Down MR President where everyone in an area would put their fingers to their ears like the Secret Service and the last person to do it would be tackled. It could start at any moment and would end up in a dog pile in the hall. Gel pens. When I was in primary school there was this weird trend where all the girls would suck on the ends of gel pens so their tongues turned into different colors. They would trade pens with each other in the school bathrooms and sneak away from the teachers and go to hidden parts of the schoolyard so they didn't get caught. It was the closest I can think of comparing to a drug ring, but imagine it with 7-year-old girls. One of my friends was really popular because she was the girl who sucked on the most pens and would get caught in literally every class sucking on a different gel pen. And the teachers would always have to walk her out to the nurse as she'd make herself sick and throw up. They eventually banned them. I tried it once and spat it out immediately because it was nasty and tasted like ink. Duh. I didn't get it then and I still don't get it now. The girl who sucked on the most pens and would get caught in literally every class sucking on a different gel pen. Same but not with gel pens. I'm a teacher. A few years ago we had to ban applause. The kids would randomly start a round of applause and just keep going. It was unnerving. It was disrupting lessons. Assemblies. Sometimes they would applause in the dining hall or corridors. Still don't know how this trend started or why. The other thing we had to ban was pilgrimage. They apparently learned the word in religious studies lesson. After that they would, in large groups, walk from one end of the school to the other chanting pilgrimage. And basically knocking over anything or person that stood in their way. In elementary school my class was divided in 2 groups. Penguins and rats. We would always go to our group for team assignments. For games. For anything really. Somehow an actual rivalry started to sprout until the whole school was divided in these 2 groups. With first and second years getting into actual fights and stuff. Pretty soon the principal cancelled recess for a day and went to each classroom to tell us penguin team and rat team were banned. Others did create some smaller animal named groups after that, but they all dissolved pretty quickly. Your elementary schools literally created gangs, LMAO. In Sweden we had this thing called bug. Translate to gay pile. As soon as someone was on the ground lying. Acorns. My elementary schoolyard had several oak trees on it and dumbass kids would collect acorns and keep them in their desk. The problem was most of the acorns had worms in them which then escaped into the classrooms. Camo colors. They somehow banned it school-wide because they were gang colors. Camo gang. Edit. I went to high school in the southeast Columbus, Ohio area. Half wannabe rednecks. Quarter wannabe hood. And quarter preppy kids. It was a dumb mix. And for the record, so many people complained the school actually had an assembly over it where they explained their reasoning, and I don't remember exactly what they said, but it had something to do with gangs. I think it was gang mentality or something. I was in middle school from 2009 to 2011. Bloons Tower Defense was huge. Everyone played it in any room that had a computer. The school had to install special blockers, but people kept getting around them, so they straight up banned Adobe Flash. When I was younger, we played this where you draw a circle on your hand. And other people would try to draw a line inside of it. If someone was able to draw a line in your circle, then you were out. The objective of the game was to be the last one standing. It was small at first, but eventually almost everyone in my grade became involved. And it spiraled out of control. Chaos. Pure ducking chaos. Kids were tackling each other. Running away from other students. Disrupting lessons. Etc. Teachers eventually began to talk to us about how far our game had gone. And started banning it altogether. It was fun while it lasted, boys. Edit. Capri Suns. Kids were too stupid to figure out how to get the straws in and teachers got tired of helping everyone. Rulers. Year 10 in HS, for whatever reason someone decided to smack a guy across the head with a ruler. Then everyone went out and bought a ruler. Suddenly everyone was a knight with a sword. Staff kept confiscating them, but rulers are cheap, so kids just went out and bought them by the handful. They ended up banning rulers at a school. The kids who were taking geometry that year and needed them had to be assigned rulers at the beginning of class and then turned them back in. Hair flips. Circa 2003. Long skater hair was very trendy. Said kids were flipping their hair out of their eyes face. An 8th grade history teacher went on a vendetta under the reasoning that hair flips pollute the air with hair dirt. Kids started getting detentions. Edit. We legit had a half an hour lecture in assembly because our year apparently said sorry too often. I'm English. 3 hours and no one's made a Canada joke yet. People bringing in their Game Boy Color and playing during recess. Kids were getting mad they weren't getting turns and they were afraid of someone stealing games. Ducking Jeremy found a copy of Pokemon Silver the day after mine was stolen out of my backpack. Can't get too mad at the kid though. His brother was thrown in jail for murdering their mom about a year after that. Non-clear lunch boxes. Rubber bands. Kids weren't even using them to shoot at other kids or otherwise misbehave with them. Kids would buy packs of rubber bands. Tie the rubber bands together, making like a big rubber band chain. It became a contest to see who could get a chain of rubber bands to stretch the farthest. You couldn't find a pack of rubber bands at a store for probably 20 miles. This was when I lived in a small town. So there wasn't a ton of stores in that 20 miles. Amazon or even public internet access didn't exist yet. One kid got so many rubber bands they could stretch it the length of the school building. While stupid, I didn't think it was a bad hobby as kids weren't shooting them or shooting stuff with them. It was all about how big of a chain they could make. School rewarded our pointless creativity with a ban on rubber bands at the school. All rubber band chains were confiscated on site. I was in high school when cell phones finally became accessible enough for most people to have one. It took about a week of senior year for them to declare that no phones were allowed anywhere on school property. Putting condoms on everything. Pens. People's heads. Arms. Bags. Shoes. Smartboard remotes. Baseball bats. Clocks. Balls. Literally anything. The best bit was that the school gave out free condoms. They were fueling the opposition. After a week, there was a ban on condoms being out in public. Anyone seen with a condom that wasn't in their bag or blazer was immediately given a detention. Fortune tellers. You know those paper origami ones? Those. Oh. Those little skateboards. Tech decks. In 3rd grade, few kids got obsessed with the words cheese, FedEx, and camel. They said them all the time and those words got banned for the entire class. I'm 60. When I was in 3rd grade, sunflower seeds were banned. I was told the teachers thought they were drugs. Our school banned hoodies. Their reasoning was that people can wear their hoods up to help with intimidating. A lot of the guys responded by wearing hoodies the next day, with no shirts underneath so they couldn't be told to take them off. When I was in elementary school in the late 90s, there was a fad where we would collect Absolute vodka and milk mustache ads in binders, similar to Pokemon cards. It was savage. Kids would bring in magazines by the dozens and just strip out the pages with the ads on it. School banned them because it was such a massive distraction. Pogs. Yup. We got the it's a form of gambling once a bunch of losers lost the Pogs they bet and then complained about it. Coolmouth. Tom was recently blocked at my school. Well, to be fair. Pokemon cards. Pokemon was banned for being popular. Magic was banned for being satanic. There was a kid in my high school who made probably around $500 in a month for making duct tape wallets. Administration found out but didn't ban the wallets. Just banned conducting business on school grounds. Someone went around school and sold his origami at 50p a piece. Clackers. They were too small. Hard balls on either end of a long string. You made them clack against each other, but the bullies would hit you upside the head with them instead. I'm old. We are only allowed to have €2 money for bus. If a teacher that even cares caught you, the teacher would be allowed to take the money and keep it. This was changed due to making it a crime. One time a teacher took €75 from a student. What the duck is the reasoning behind that? What trouble could you get into with €2? The kid that started a tuck shop out of his locker went to a wholesaler's, bought some stuff, sold it, used the profits to buy more. Repeat and repeat until he's now staffing a child guard to stop shoplifting and renting other people's lockers for stock overflow. Our classroom just became kids queuing to buy sweets and energy drinks. Sometimes a line so long in 15 minutes he couldn't get everyone waiting served. Then, bam, banned. No selling anything on school property. Pretty much just aimed at this kid. Dude ended up stabbing someone. Got expelled. No idea where he is now. But think his shop getting banned and being replaced with an overpriced healthy staff-run tuck shop squashed his entrepreneurial spirit. I sold blow pops for $1 a piece. Everyone in the school was eating them and chewing gum. That was the end. Switch to blow jobs and you would be tripling your profits. Warheads. It grew to such an issue with these sour candies. Kids were organizing a black market where the kids with the highest allowance would buy them in bulk from the corner stores for a nickel each. Distribute them to upperclassmen for $1 each, who would turn around and sell them to the final consumer for 50 cents each candy. There was even a barrier to entry if you wanted in the business. You would have to eat 3 candies at once and not spit it out or throw up. Warheads are the real gateway into drug dealing. YUGO. Used to be everyone would show up an hour before school started and we'd play until first bell. Then some little shitty named Tyler decided to wager one of his cards and he lost. He ran to his mommy crying about it and then no more YUGO. Duck you Tyler. Don't bet something you aren't willing to lose. Duck Tyler. Had a kid do the same thing because he wanted to be a rare hunter. Wanted to wager so I did. My dark paladin for his red eyes black metal dragon I think. He lost. Cried home. Was told to give the card back. But I won. So it was either give the card back and people can play, or don't and no one could. Gave it back. Still banned the game. Was super pissed about that one. Edit. Row. First silver. Me and my buddies had a game where we'd draw a circle on the back of our hand. One person in the beginning of the day would have a marker and be infected while trying to get a mark on another friend's circle, rendering them infected as well. This would go until there were no more survivors that day or until the infected lost and all that. Well, it eventually spread to everyone in our school in a matter of 2 days somehow. When I mean everyone, I literally mean everyone. I remember an announcement at lunchtime saying that if you had a circle on your hand you had to go wash it off in the bathroom or get a detention. Yeah. Randomization. People would gather around a vending machine and chant randomize. And the person performing the ceremony would punch the keyboard and get a random snack. Semicolon. Edit. I think that the whole reason it was banned was because the mid-lunchtime chanting got disruptive and the administrators didn't want to risk students breaking the machine. I believe there was also cheering on receiving the snack. Rock, paper, scissors. People at my middle school kept playing a game called Oreo, where you play rock, paper, scissors and the loser has to do a dare. According to the teachers, it got out of hand. It really did and none of the dares were that bad. So they decided to ban rock, paper, scissors. Hearing that on the announcements in the morning instantaneously killed half of my brain cells. If you were caught playing rock, paper, scissors, you would immediately get detention. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. Edit. Everyone is saying that instead of dares, they just had to ask someone out. That is really what my school did. I just said dares because it was easier and I didn't think it mattered. When you lost, the winner told you a person and you had to go to that person and ask them on a date. For some reason my grade got really into chanting random words teachers said. We thought it was hilarious at the time. Anyway, so in the midst of this fad, one day in grade 12 pre-cal, My teacher finally puts her foot down, yelling, "No more chanting." And one kid in my class stands up and yells, "Chanting! Chanting!" And everyone joined in. One of the highlights of high school. Tamagotchis. Those rubber bracelets that denoted different causes that were popular in the early to mid 2000s. We ended up setting up a little black market for them with people trading in different ones and having their arms covered to the elbows in them. Playing blackjack for Nicholas in the lunchroom. High school, those of us dealing were cleaning up. Then later in the school year we just started again and the teachers kind of ignored it. I was making several dollars, maybe 10 on a good day. This was early 70s, so $1 equals about $6. 00 today. Gas was $0. 35 a gallon. Rubber bracelets here in Brazil. It became popular out of nowhere and everybody was wearing them. People even competed to see who had more bands on their arms, lol. Until one day, some magazine showed that those bracelets were used in other countries like a SX challenge. Each color had a meaning and if someone breaks your band, you had to do to that person what the color means. Like pink was French kiss. Purple was a hand job. Something like that. The schools and the parents got crazy and got rid of all those bracelets until they finally disappeared forever. Actually, there wasn't a single person who used those bracelets for that reason, lol. They were just cool and pretty cheap. We believe now that it was a huge hoax, but it was such a long time ago that it got forgotten and nobody cared to see if it was true or not. When I was a kid, our church banned Pogs. Called it a form of gambling. All the parents decided to just get rid of their Pogs. My dad was cool with Pog and he even machined a solid brass slammer for me. He talked with the parents but couldn't change their mind on Pog as it was the senior pastor who called for the ban. Long story short, all the church kids gave me their Pogs and I was now Pog King at school. Back in middle school I had a teacher that banned crankin' dat Soldier Boy in her classroom. To be honest, I probably would have done the same thing. Bloody knuckles with quarters. As an adult looking back, I'm kind of surprised I made it out of middle school intact. 2 years ago, my principal banned slime. I'm a teacher. I was stockpiling all my confiscated slime to create the ultimate teacher slime video. But then the principal updated the rule and said that all slime was to be thrown away on site. So I threw it away. The stuff is oddly satisfying, and I get why the kids loved it so much. It's also not that helpful during class. Dice. Hacky Sacks BC of Killer Hack, where you had to successfully get a certain number of consecutive kicks hits and then anyone could catch it and whip it at someone. Full stop. Full stop. Full stop. Yep. We called it execution. If you missed the execution on someone else, they had to stand against the wall while we all passed around until one person decided to deliver the second execution. Semicolon. Execution was promptly banned after a member of the circle missed a shot. Hit our female vice principal in the forehead and, instead of being smart and apologizing, yelled teabag. Semicolon. We are lucky we were still allowed to hack. Period. The numbers 212, 313, and 525. Couldn't wear them or talk about them. There's a Mexican gang that uses the number 13 and after the teachers found out about it, they banned wearing the number. Most of us thought it was stupid and a group of kids made a gang called 313 just for the hell of it. Another group created 212 to be rivals. It was all jokes, but apparently people were repping too hard, so they banned both numbers. To retaliate, the two groups then joined forces and created 525, 313 plus 212. Which the teachers didn't like very much. B-blades. One kid just had to get hit in the face with one and be a little bitch about it. Duck you, Brad. Depending on what phone you had, you could download an app that makes your phone a universal remote. You could control a lot of things including projectors. All you had to do was select the brand of the projector and it would work 9/10 times. Anyways, me and some friends kept turning off the projector during class or freezing the screen, and they were absolutely clueless. Multiple other teachers came in to try and fix the projector, but eventually they caught on banned cell phones in the classroom. Tech Decks, apologies in advance if that's misspelled. Tech Decks. Fried chicken. For some reason it became ridiculously popular lunch in cafeteria. And for some reason the school administration decided to ban it. The whole event happened a few months before I joined the school, so I never know the full story. But apparently, the chicken ban triggered a series of student protests of multiple scale, and the ban was lifted a few months later. My first semester starts after the dust has settled, but you can still see a lot of sign and vandalism. There is a "We want fried chicken" sign outside administration building that end up becoming a meme from the protest. Does anybody remember silly bands? Back when I was in grade school, you were only cool if you had hundreds on each of your wrists. Soon, however, we would learn how to put the rubber band on the tip of your finger, pull it around your thumb, and hold it with your pinky. When you release your pinky, you would effectively have shot someone. It was basically finger guns evolved. After fights over silly bands and rubber shootouts that usually ended in injured eyes, a school-wide ban was placed on our beloved fun-shaped elastic. Tragic times for the schoolyard. It was 3 boobies bracelets. Hugging. Turtling backpacks. Aka. Taking somebody's backpack, emptying it, flipping it inside out, putting the contents back inside it, and carefully zipping it closed from the inside. Semicolon. The ban was initiated after 2 students snuck out of a high school assembly and went through over 100 lockers, no locks. Small Catholic school. Approximately 90% of the student body was turtled that afternoon. Marbles. 1979 to 1980. We used to play marbles. Toss a marble and if your opponent hits it with theirs they get it. They banned it because it was gambling. Shitting in the top of the toilet. I don't know if this counts, but literally everyone was doing the okay everywhere, and my vice principal was very dumb and banned it because she thought it was a gang sign. After being logical and realizing it was a symbol in sign language, and that is how some had to communicate, then she made it okay again, but only because of the few kids who were deaf. She still hated it though, and for 3 months until it was accepted again. Nobody liked her at all. Not even the teachers. Monty Python's "I Like Traffic Lights" song. I have no idea who started it, and most of us had no idea where it came from. But roaming the halls of my school, people would just be muttering "I like traffic lights," like an annoying school-wide earworm that most people had never even heard. Finally, teachers threatened to send anyone to the principal's office who was caught humming that song. Sagging. They even had an assembly of sorts and said sagging spelled backwards is. Mayo class was gasping and I was like, really? Go-Go's Bones. Pretending to shave someone's head. During my 8th grade year, a group of boys used to constantly go up to one another and use an imaginary razor to shave another kid's head. They would also make the sound of an electric razor as they did it. Some kids even found apps on their phones that made the sound, and soon enough it became a school-wide phenomenon. The teachers became annoyed with the constant sound of my ear. After about a week or 2 after the start of the head shaving, there was an announcement over the loudspeaker by the principal saying to send any student who shaved another student's head to the office immediately.